Why were you shaking like a coward when I was calmly asking you questions? Did your daddy teach you right from wrong? Do you know right from wrong? Do you have the ability to stand on your own 2 feet as a man? No.
Interrupt these proceedings, I will find you in contempt.
Are you communicating a threat?
Do you understand that?
I do not.
Contempt means that you could be held in jail for a period of time, up to 30 days, you could be fined up to $100.
Welcome back to the Van Ballion channel, guys. Today we head back to South Dakota, Moody County Court, Flandreau to be precise, for the trial stemming from a video I covered on the channel last September, where this guy got arrested for refusing to identify following a hit and run. He was subsequently charged with driving without tags, insurance, and failing to report an accident. And yes, he's going pro se, because of course he is. The video begins with the alleged victim on the stand being questioned by the state's attorney. Right, let's get into the video.
I was approached by an individual whose car was parked directly in front of that pickup, or that truck, and I was asked, "What are you doing?" And I informed her that I was just informed that this vehicle had hit my building. She then asked when. I said 10-15 minutes ago from what I understand. And I was informed that no way, no how that this vehicle hit my building. It's been parked for at least 3 hours, if not longer.
After having this conversation with that woman, what occurred next?
I informed her that I had a video on my phone showing that this vehicle had hit my building.
And what occurred next?
She proceeded to walk away.
What happened after that?
I pulled out my phone and I called Officer Weber.
All right. Now, prior to Officer Weber's arrival, did another individual contact you regarding this truck?
Yes. Andrew came out and we went over and looked at it. He was apologetic. Said he would take care of the damages. Actually, at first wanted to fix it himself, and I politely asked that the person that did the sighting would come back and do it at that point.
So prior to Officer Weber's arrival, you made contact with an Andrew, is that right?
Yes.
And he approached you, or did you approach him?
I was standing out there, so I guess I would say he more or less approached me, but...
Okay. And if you were to see this Andrew today, would you be able to identify him?
Yes, he's sitting at the defendant's table.
But the court was acknowledged the witness identified the defendant, Andrew, stating.
The record will so reflect.
So again, walk us through briefly your conversation with Mr. Stevie.
He came over, was very apologetic. He says, I didn't realize I did it. I will push his finger and I said, oh, it's just phone, I can fix this. I said, I'd prefer to have Dan Hahn come back and fix it as he's the one that put it on and it's a custom color. And I would just prefer, since it's newer, to just get it done right the first time.
So during this conversation, he actually made an admission to you that he had collided with your building.
He said, yes.
With this truck.
Yes.
Now you were the one, however, to reach out to law enforcement, is that right?
Correct.
And the purpose of reaching out to law enforcement was for what?
At the time, not knowing who drove the vehicle, and not knowing what was going to happen, I reached out in case I would have to turn it into insurance. It's just easier to have a police report or have something documented that there was damage when it was done, just for the uncertainty of the time.
And frankly, you weren't aware whether or not this Andrew, who then contacted you, had himself reached out to law enforcement.
At the time I made the phone call, I didn't know who the Andrew was.
But again, for clarification, he did make an admission to you that he collided with your building.
Yes.
Your Honor, I have no further questions of Mr. Sutton.
Mr. Stading, I know you're more familiar with the process than previous defendants. Do you wish to cross-examine Mr. Sutton?
I do.
Here we go, guys. Get ready for lots of whining, moaning, speculation, and lines of questioning irrelevant to the charges.
Mr. Sutton, how you doing today, man?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I've obviously had better days. So on this day when my wife spoke with you, she said something about It's impossible I hit the building, because you said that I just hit the building to my wife. Is that correct?
Yes, it was indicated.
Are you aware that I was in the restaurant for over an hour having lunch?
I wasn't aware of that.
So was the hit to your building so violent that everyone inside realized it and came running out?
No, I actually did not know my building was hit until I was approached by the individual that witnessed it and gave me the video and indicated it just happened.
So my big heavy steel truck hitting the side of your foam covered building, and you didn't even notice on the inside that your building was struck. Is it reasonable to believe that I would have no clue that I struck your building with that big metal truck?
I suppose in some instances, yeah.
Okay, and when I came out, you said I admitted guilt? Is that what happened?
We talked about it and we said it appears like I hit your building. I apologize. I will take care of it and make it right.
Okay, did I make it right?
Yes, you actually came in, I don't know the exact date. I know you have a piece of paper I signed saying that you were going to pay for it. I got estimates from Dan Hahn, and they were ballpark because he hadn't been there yet. It was $400 to $500 to fix it. I asked you if it comes in under, you gave me $500 in cash. If it came in under $500, what would you like me to do with the remainder? And you said we should just keep it for the headache.
So I have compensated you for all damages, is that correct?
That is correct.
So I owe you nothing.
That is correct.
So can you please explain to me what's going on here?
Objection, Your Honor. This is well beyond the nature of this hearing. He's calling for Mr. Sutton to provide speculation as to the, frankly, the prosecution of this case.
The objection is sustained.
I protest. Who's speaking?
You know Mr. Lewis, Mr. Stady. The objection is sustained. You can go on to your next question.
What does sustained mean?
It means I agree with the objection and he doesn't have to answer that question.
Okay, first of all, if you don't know what the word sustained means, it's probably not a good idea to represent yourself. But my guess is you do know, you're just being disingenuous. And if I can see it, you can be sure the judge can see it too. Also, just because you came back later to compensate the victim for the damage you caused doesn't take away from the fact that you caused that damage in the first place. That's like getting charged with shoplifting and coming back later or the next day to pay for what you stole. You're still a thief in the eyes of the law. Anyway, the absurdity continues.
Oh, so is Paul Lewis sworn in?
You can go on to your next question. If you don't have any, we'll let the witness go.
So, Mr. Sutton, do I owe you anything?
As we previously stated, no, you paid me for the damages.
All right, and when I came out of the building and you showed me on your phone or whatever my truck up against your building, was I at all aggressive or confrontational, or did I say, hey, I didn't know I hit your building? If I did, I'm sorry. I'm not arguing the fact that I did or did not.
You were very hospitable until Officer Weber pulled up.
Did we come to an agreement and shake hands before Officer Weber pulled up?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance pertaining to this trial. Whether or not he's reached an outside agreement is simply not bearing upon the statutes being prosecuted today.
Does the state believe they get to interfere with civil matters and make them criminal matters?
Dude, you really need to stay on track. You're supposed to be cross-examining the alleged victim right now, not whoever you directed that inane question at. But to answer that question, yes, you turned this from a civil matter into a criminal one the moment you left the scene of the accident and became cagey about sharing your details with the alleged victim, hence why he had to call the police. If you'd have just followed the law, bought insurance and shared those details with the police like 99% of law-abiding citizens do when they get into an accident, you wouldn't be in court now.
You can answer that question. Objection's over.
Did we come to an agreement that you would pay and compensate me for the damages? If that's the question, then yes. We came to an agreement and we didn't know the amount. I told you I would get a hold of Dan or I would get a hold of you to figure it out.
And what was the total amount of those damages again?
I want to say it was 400 and change.
400 and change. And Oh, I guess the question's not for you, it would be for the court. What am I being charged with? Damage of private property over $1,000?
Mr. Sadie, you've been provided with a copy of the complaint that sets out the charges.
Yeah, I don't understand any of that.
I can read them to you if you'd like.
You could read all you want, I don't understand what you're saying.
And perhaps you'll have to hire an attorney to assist you.
I have counsel.
Are they going to assist you today?
God always assists me.
You have an attorney licensed in the state of South Dakota that's going to assist you today.
Does God need your permission?
I'll take that as a no, and you'll be proceeding pro se.
What does pro se mean?
Do you have any other questions for this?
What does pro se mean?
Do you have any other questions for this?
What does pro se mean?
There being no other questions, Mr. Lewis, do you have any redirect?
I do not, Your Honor.
You may step down.
Right, so after that truly god-awful performance, because yes, God is this guy's attorney now apparently, we now get back to some kind of normalcy for a time, where the state attorney cross-examines Landrau's chief of police, who was on the scene and made the arrest.
Your Honor, I'd like to call Chief Zach Kauder to the stand.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you were about to give in the matter now and hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Please have a seat. Mr. Lewis, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you please state your name for the record?
Zach Weber,
And where are you employed?
the city of Flanders,
In what capacity?
Chief of Police.
Were you still employed in the capacity on or about June 29, 2023 here in the city of Flanders?
Yes.
Around the time of 13:39 in the afternoon?
Yes.
Around that time, were you called in regards to call for service to the Sutton Insurance Agency,
Yes.
located on North Lynn Street?
Correct.
You attended that location?
Yes.
For what purpose?
The report of a possible hit-and-run accident that occurred at the vehicle versus the building,
And about what time did you arrive at that location?
approximately 13:41.
Walk us through what occurred upon your arrival at that location.
When I arrived at 211 North Lynn Street, I observed Hollis talking with an unidentified male, later identified as Hayden Stating. I approached the couple. While approaching, the male stated that he was unaware that he hit the building. I asked the male for his name, and he stated, "Fuck you." The male continued to refuse to provide his name, driver's license, or proof of insurance.
And then what occurred?
The male, I guess at 13:42, Sergeant Moonfeld arrived on scene.
And then what transpired?
The male was informed several times that his name was only needed for an accident report. The male stated that he did not need to provide his name, and that he didn't call us at our made arrangements.
And then what occurred?
After several more requests to have the male provide his name, he was detained by Sergeant Moonfeld.
As a matter of fact, did you yourself engage Hollis Sutton?
Yes.
Inquire if he'd been provided any insurance information from the gentleman who hit his building?
Correct.
And had Hollis been given any insurance information?
No.
As a matter of fact, did the male identify himself?
No.
As a matter of fact, did Hollis indicate that he was unaware of the male's name?
Correct.
After several requests for this individual's name, what occurred next?
Sergeant Moonfeld detained Mr. Stating, handcuffed him behind his back, checked him for lock and fit, and placed him in the rear passenger compartment of this patrol vehicle.
Now, just a moment though, you've identified this individual now as Mr. Stating, but at the point that he was placed under arrest, had a positive identification been made on this gentleman?
No.
So at the time that he was placed under arrest by Sergeant Moonfeld, the identity was unknown.
Correct. The reason that he was detained was strictly to identify the male.
Alright. So after he was detained, what occurred next?
Search of this person resulted in one fixed blade knife and one small pocket knife.
Okay. As a matter of fact, did Mr. Sutton provide you with any photographic identification of this building getting struck?
Yes.
And relative to that photograph, you would incorporate that into your own evidence and investigative information, is that correct?
Correct.
After receiving this photograph from Mr. Hollis Sutton, what occurred next?
I observed the vehicle that was in the picture to be parked directly across the alley. The vehicle was identified by its VIN number as a 2005 Ford F450 Super Duty with South Dakota registration 52N360.
So let's look at some documents there that you have in front of you. That is it's noted at the top is from the Flanders Police Department, is that correct?
Correct.
And these are digital photographs, is that correct?
Correct.
Roughly 8 in number, is that right?
Correct.
But 9 pages because of the cover sheet, is that right?
Correct.
So on the very first photograph, there is a VIN number. Is that the VIN number that you photographed?
Yes.
From the inside of the pickup truck.
Correct.
Furthermore, in that photograph, you observe what appears to be a license plate
Yes.
for the license plate reading 52N362, is that right?
Correct.
That clearly shows expired on 9/2022, is that right?
Correct.
But the date of this incident was June 29th of 2023.
Correct.
So clearly this plate was expired.
Yes.
On the next page, as we move on, there's a photograph of the damage done to Mr. Sutton's building, is that correct?
Correct.
Did you take that photograph?
I did.
Let's move on to the next page. What is identified in this photograph?
That is the flatbed portion of the vehicle. It's the rear passenger corner.
Did you take this photograph?
I did.
Let's move on to the next page. What is identified here in this photograph?
It would be the side of the building. Actually, I guess the very next one would be the license plate.
Again, 52N362 indicating expired plates, is that right?
Correct.
Let's move on to the next photograph. That's the side of Mr. Sutton's building, is that correct?
Correct.
Let's move on to the next photograph. Who took this photograph?
I did.
And what is being observed in that photograph?
It's approximately 3" by 6" rectangular hole that was caused by the vehicle.
Let's move on to the next photograph. That is a picture of the vehicle colliding with the building, is that correct?
Correct. This is the vehicle I obtained from Hollis.
Okay. And let's move on to the next and final photograph. What is being observed in that photograph?
This is just the side of the vehicle.
You took that photograph as well?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd like to offer an evidence marked as exhibit number 1, the photographs taken by Officer Weber in his investigation of this matter.
Mr. State, do you have any objection?
I object to this entire proceeding.
Wait, let me guess. Is it because you wrongly believe this is a civil matter because you paid for the damage you caused, but only after the fact by any chance? Well, I'm sorry, but we've already been over why you're wrong about that. But I'm sure you're not going to let a little thing like evidence get in the way of this, so let's hear it.
This is a civil matter.
Specific to that exhibit.
I object to everything specifically.
Okay, and what is the basis for the objection?
That this is a civil matter.
That objection is overruled. I'll accept that.
Noel Robert Peasall, are you bound by Article 6, Clause 2 and 3 of the United States Constitution? Yes or no?
Do you have any additional questions, Mr.
Noel Robert Peasall, are you bound?
Mr.
Yes
If you
or
continue to
no?
interrupt these proceedings, I will find you in contempt.
Are you communicating a threat?
I'm telling you that I will find you in contempt if you continue to interrupt these proceedings. That includes interrupting Mr. Lewis or myself while speaking, or the witness. Do you understand that?
I do not.
Contempt means that you can be held in jail for a period of time up to 30 days. You can be fined up to $100.
So are you communicating threats?
Telling what the consequences will be if you continue to interrupt.
So do I not have freedom of speech?
For purposes of the proceedings today, I told you what the consequences are if you continue to interrupt. Mr. Lewis, you may continue with any questions.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor.
Well, first of all, the judge is not there to answer any of your inane questions. He's there to control the way the case is conducted in accordance with relevant law and practice. So question his oath on your own time. Secondly, if you take being told to stop interrupting or you will be held in contempt, as a threat and or a violation of your First Amendment rights, then that says more about you and your lack of basic knowledge, really, doesn't it?
During the prosecutor investigation and dealing with this individual, you detained him, is that right?
Correct.
And did you end up issuing citations?
Yes.
And what were the citations that were issued on this individual?
For expired license plates, leaving the scene of an accident, and no proof of insurance.
All right. Now, you were able to identify this individual by name, though, eventually, is that correct?
Yes.
What was the name of the individual?
Andrew Stady.
If you were to see Mr. Stading today, would you be able to identify him?
Yes.
Can you please do so for the court?
Yes, he's sitting at the defense table in a camouflage shirt.
With the court, please acknowledge the witness identified the defendant, Andrew Stading.
The record will so reflect.
So, during the prosecutor investigation, you ascertained that there was no insurance in this vehicle, is that correct?
I was not provided with any.
And from the time of the incident to today, have you ever been provided with proof of insurance on this vehicle?
No.
As a matter of fact, in your conversation with Mr. Hollis Sutton, he indicated that he himself had received no insurance information, is that correct?
Correct.
Now, you also went a little bit further by investigating a little bit more detail in regards to the collision impact area of the pickup hitting the building, is that right?
Yes.
Roughly a 6-inch by 3-inch rectangle
Correct. Approximately.
that would have matched the rear end of this truck.
Correct.
And again, identified in the photograph, is that right?
Correct.
At this time, Your Honor, I have no further questions of Officer Weber.
Mr. Stading, you may cross-examine.
Zach, how you doing today, man? That's good. The day that you approached me, were you and your partner both screaming at me, identify or go to jail?
No.
Really? When you placed me under arrest, did you say that I was under arrest for no crime?
No.
Are you sure there's video proof of this?
I do not believe I said you were arrested for no crime.
I asked you why am I under arrest, what's going on, and you said no crime, and then I was placed in cuffs. Is that correct?
I do not recall that to be accurate.
Well, there's video proof of this. Would you like to see it? Let's bring up the YouTube video Paul's so happy about. When do we get to examine that evidence?
If you have exhibits that you want to offer into evidence, you can follow the rules of evidence and get those admitted.
Yeah, that's not going to happen, is it? He doesn't know or pretends to not know what the word sustained means, so you can't really expect him to follow and understand the rules of evidence. Also, not that it matters, but let's take a look at the moment of arrest to refresh our memories.
So here's the idea, or here's what's going on. We do have a law that says you do have to identify yourself. So if you do not identify yourself, you will be going to jail.
I'll be going to jail? You're going to kidnap me? What crime did I commit?
Right now, failure to identify yourself.
So what do you need my ID for? What is the crime I committed?
Because you were involved in an accident. I'm not saying you committed a crime right now. Hey, hands up.
At this point, I wish to remain secure in my persons, papers, and effect. Sir, I will charge you with assault and kidnapping. I'm not resisting. Why are you both up on me? I'm not on you. I'm holding your arm. I do not wish for this to happen, gentlemen. You're giving a video order. No, that's not an order.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but all that screaming and shouting by those two officers for him to identify or go to jail was deafening. Also, it's hilarious how the statement, "I'm not saying you're committing a crime right now," suddenly turns into, "You're under arrest for no crime." I almost want them to play the video just to show how disingenuous he is.
And what are those rules?
They're set forth in the South Dakota codified law. As the defendant representing himself, you're obligated to follow those rules.
I am not representing myself. I am present. I do not know how to represent myself. Could you demonstrate for me, please?
Do you have any other questions for this witness?
Zach, when you were screaming at me, identify or go to jail, and I told you my name is go fuck yourself, and then you continued to question me, why were you shaking like a coward when I was calmly asking you questions?
I have no response to that.
Your partner acknowledged that you were shaking. Is this true?
I guess it's true that you acknowledge something.
If you approached someone and they were shaking and trembling in fear, you would have a medical check done on them, is that correct?
I'm going to object to the form of the question. One, it's not relevant to these proceedings as to how or the health or demeanor of Chief Weber in dealing with Mr. Stady.
The objection is sustained. You'll have to move on to your next question.
Exactly, this line of questioning is completely irrelevant, but it is an opportunity for him to do what he does best, and that's grandstand, play the martyr, and take advantage of anything he perceives as a weakness to shame and belittle. But that's what people like this do when backed into a corner. In reality, the officer performed his duties and was calm and professional throughout the whole encounter. If he was shaking, which could be down to adrenaline, the camera didn't pick it up.
Zach, were you and your partner trained in de-escalating situations?
Yes.
And is it de-escalating a situation to be aggressive and yell at someone, ID, or go to jail?
Repeat this question.
Is it de-escalating a situation to be screaming at someone, ID, or go to jail?
Your Honor, I'm still going to object in this matter. There is no evidence before us that that is how Chief Weber or Sergeant Neunfeld approached Mr. Stady.
Mr. Stady will need to ask the foundational questions to demonstrate how that was asked.
What is the police department's policy on recording?
As far as us or as far as citizens reporting us?
As far as your body cam, what is your policy on recording when entering a situation or an incident?
You should record from the time we get there to,
Did you record from the time you got there? Or did you record after you had been there for some time?
I think I was approximately a minute behind.
So, by your own admittance, you violated your own policy?
I guess to an extent.
So, is it rules for thee and not for me? Is that the Flandreau Police Department's mentality?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the form of this question. Whether or not Officer Weber activated his body cam really is not germane to these proceedings.
The form of the question is argumentative. On that basis, the objection was
The irony of a sovereign citizen saying rules for thee and not for me is amazing. In fact, it's ignorance at its finest.
Did your daddy teach you right from wrong?
Objection, Your Honor. The form of the question is argumentative.
sustained.
Do you know right from wrong?
Objection, Your Honor. Same reason.
Sustained.
So am I not allowed to ask any questions in my defense?
You were allowed to ask questions about the testimony the officer gave.
I'm asking about his character. Is that not allowed?
Only under certain circumstances, and in this circumstance, I'm determining that that question is not allowed.
Noel Robert Pizol, are you compensated by the state?
Do you have any additional questions for this witness, Mr. Stady?
Zach, who's in charge, you or Robert?
I would be the chief of police.
But you let his aggressive nature take the lead, don't you?
Objection, form of the question, argumentative.
Sustained.
Yeah, so this is the aggressive nature he talks about. I assume this is it. I mean, this is the one and only example I could find in the whole video, and it comes after nearly 20 minutes of them begging and pleading with him to identify himself so they don't have to take him to jail. If this is what he calls aggressive, he's either lived a very sheltered life or he's just a liar.
Do you have the ability to stand on your own 2 feet as a man? Or are you always protected by thin blue line gang members?
Objection, Your Honor, form of the question.
Sustained. Do you have any additional questions for this witness?
Where's the jury?
That's not a question for this witness. Any question for this witness?
How long is this court going to interfere with my right to due process?
I'm going to find that the defendant will waive any further questioning of this witness by declining to ask questions. Does the state have any redirect?
Sovereign citizens always go on about due process in the middle of them getting due process, proving once again that they haven't got a clue what this and so many other words mean.
During the prosecutor investigation, Chief Weber, were you able to ascertain whether or not at the time of collision, Mr. Stading immediately approached Mr. Sutton and provided him with his name and relevant insurance information?
I'm not aware of that.
Not aware that he did?
Correct.
Frankly, there's no proof that he did so.
Correct.
I have no further questions.
Please step down.
Thank you.
Do you have any additional witnesses?
State will rest, Your Honor.
Mr. Stading, do you wish to testify?
No.
Do you have any other witnesses that you wish to have testify?
I wish for the jury to be present.
I'll take that as a no. Defense having rested. I am going to give the opportunity to both parties to make a brief argument. You'll need to keep it under 3 minutes each. Mr. Lewis, any argument?
Thank you, Your Honor. There, as you can see within the state's evidence marked as exhibit number 1, the expired plates in this vehicle belonging to Mr. Stading, indicating that they had expired well prior to the date of this alleged incident. The state would respectfully ask the court's consideration and finding guilt beyond a reasonable doubt regarding expired plates. Furthermore, as the officers testified, and frankly as Mr. Hollis Sutton testified as well, no insurance was provided for Mr. Stading relative to this matter as well, and even to the state, none has been provided. So the state would respectfully ask for the court to find guilt on no insurance as well, and Mr. Stading is proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And finally, in regards to failure to report accident, as required by state law, Mr. Stading didn't identify himself to the building owner, nor did he identify any form of insurance to either law enforcement or to Mr. Sutton either. Simply offering compensation to take care of it does not really ameliorate the statute requirement under 3234-6. So the state would respectfully ask for the court's consideration in finding guilt on all 3 offenses.
Mr. Stading, any argument you wish to make? Now is your opportunity.
Is the burden of proof on me to prove that I'm not guilty, or is the burden of proof on the state to prove that I am guilty?
Do you have additional argument you wish to make? Mr. Stading, any additional argument you wish to make?
Do you wish to honor your oath today, Noel Robert Peasall?
I'm going to treat those as rhetorical questions, Mr. Stading. Do you have any argument you wish to make? Defendant having made no further comment, I will find that the defendant is in this matter, I'm going to take the matter under advisement. I will issue a written opinion which will be submitted to the parties. Once I have completed that, it typically takes me about a week. So we will be in recess as to this file. Mr. Stading, you're free to go for now.
When does the court wish to waste more of my time? Am I going to be called back on this nonsense?
We will schedule the matter for further hearing. That hearing will be set for February 8th, 2023 at 9:30 a.m.
Will a jury be present?
2024 at 9 o'clock.
What date and time? I didn't hear you.
2 weeks from today, so February 8th at 9 o'clock.
Will the jury be present?
I don't anticipate them. We are in recess as to your time. Mr. Lewis, that was the last criminal matter I had over today. Do you have anything else to use?
Just this afternoon, Your Honor. Nothing further.
And we will take a 5-minute recess before we go on to the small news.
He swore an oath to the Constitution. It's kind of cute.
Right, so that was the trial. Now let's skip forward to February the 8th. Just to refresh your memory, he was charged with failing to report an accident, no insurance and no tags. In the meantime, the judge has rendered his written decision, so let's see how he did.
Hayden is here in the courtroom. This case had previously been tried. The court had rendered its written decision. In that matter, the defendant is charged with failure to report an accident, expired tags, and no insurance. The court, upon review, found the defendant not guilty of the failure to report an accident, guilty of the expired tags, and no insurance. This is the time set for sentencing. State, have any comments as to sentencing?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Stady, any comments as to sentencing?
Does the state have any proof that my vehicle was ever operated on the public roadways?
So you admit that you do in fact need insurance and tags to operate a motor vehicle on a public road then? That's what I'm hearing. But only because you think it might benefit you at this time. So disingenuous.
Any other comments? Mr. Stady, you're standing there silently. Do you have any other comments? Seeing none, the court will pronounce sentence as follows. Defendant on the expired tags charge is ordered to pay fines in the amount of $54 plus court costs of $78.50. On the no insurance charge, fines of $54, court costs of $78.50. 10 days of jail are also suspended on the condition the defendant pay those fines and costs within 30 days. Remain a law-abiding citizen for 360 days. Driving privileges are suspended for a period of 30 days. We'll authorize 30 days to get all of those fines and costs paid, and we will be in recess as Mr. Stady.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath on him giving any recognition to the judge for finding him not guilty on one of the 3 charges. What do you guys think? Yeah, me neither. Right, thank you so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a like, share the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you also to my channel members and patrons for your continued support. I really appreciate it. And if you would like to support me and get early access to videos like this, then the links to do all that are in the description. Right, take care all, and I will catch up with you in the next video.